Watkins, born on the 30th of July 1977, is a Welsh singer, songwriter and musician. He was the lead vocalist of the rock band Lost Prophets, who formed in 1997. Throughout their lifetime, Lost Prophets released 5 studio albums: The Fake Sound of Progress in 2000, Start Something in 2004, Liberation Transmission in 2006, The Betrayed in 2010, and Weapons in 2012. Altogether, they sold 3.5 million albums worldwide, achieving multiple awards and nominations. Ian was born to Elaine Davies. His biological father died when he was a child. However, his mother remarried to John Davies and lived a normal childhood. Watkins attended Hawthorne High School with future bandmate Mike Lewis. He also had a first-class degree in graphic design. In 1991, Ian formed a group with his friends called Aftermath. It was a thrash metal band that played in a shed in Watkins' garden. However, after 2 years and 2 live shows with no success, the pair left the band. There, Watkins then decided to create a new band called Fleshbind. In this band, Ian played on the drums. I was able to find one of the surviving demo tapes. Just a quick warning, the audio isn't that great. After leaving Fleshbind, Watkins then joined another band called Public Disturbance, which he also played drums on. In 1997, Watkins left to create his own band, Lost Prophets, with his 2 friends, Mike Lewis and Lee Gaze. Before they released their first album, they released 3 EPs. Here Comes the Party, which was released in 1997, Para Todas las Putas Celosas, released in 1998, and The Fake Sound of Progress, which is a demo EP, which was released in 1999. The band gained recognition and they were signed onto Visible Noise. In 2000, the band released The Fake Sound of Progress in November. In 2001, it would be re-released through Columbia Records. The album was a success, selling over 100,000 copies in the United States alone, and managed to reach high positions in the charts, including Billboard. They then went on to tour in Europe and America, including festivals such as Glastonbury, Ozfest, and Leeds Festival. I gave Shinobi vs. Dragon a listen, and it is a pretty good song. In 2004, they released the second studio album, Start Something. Whilst The Fake Sound of Progress was successful, Start Something was very successful. The album itself is responsible for the band's international breakthrough. Over 500,000 copies were sold in the United States alone, and it peaked at number 33 on the Billboard 200.
Burn the life that you can choose. Burn, burn the hate that gets you through. Burn, burn for us, for them, for you. 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 Burn, burn for us, 'cause it's no good.
The band toured all across the world. They toured in North America, Europe, Asia, and Oceania. Every one of their concerts was sold out at that time, and shortly before he was arrested, Start Something was still the most popular album played by the band. 2 years later, Liberation Transmission, the third album, was released in 2006. This album was mildly successful, reaching number 1 in the UK albums chart. This album had more of an alternative rock sound rather than the nu metal genre they had in the 2 previous albums. The Lost Prophets were at their peak at this time and still sold out loads of shows. However, after the release of the 3rd album, things started to go downhill.
Standing on the rooftops, everybody scream your heart out. This is all we got now, everybody scream your heart out.
Ian claimed that he was straight edge, which meant that he refrained from using alcohol and recreational drugs. However, between 2007, Ian started to use drugs. At first, it was just weed, then it progressed to something harder like meth and cocaine. At this point in time, Ian started abusing his fans. Watkins' fans, who were mostly young girls, their ages ranged from 16 to 13 years old. Watkins knew that his fans would do anything for him, so much so these girls said that they would worship Satan if he told them to. Watkins manipulated these young girls to sleep with him, and he'd also abuse them. He'd also tell his girlfriends and women that he'd see on a regular basis about the abuse that was taking place. In March 2007, Watkins met an underage fan. He got her to dress in a schoolgirl's outfit and then proceeded to video them having sex together. During that time, he asked her whether she enjoyed being his quote-unquote underage slut. At the end, he urinated all over her face and told her to drink it. Ew. And in 2008, in August, another fan who is anonymous and goes by KJ, she was 16 and he videoed having sex with her, and he also gave her drugs. He gave her cocaine. However, things would get more sinister as Ian would start abusing young children. Joanne Majelix, a former lover of Watkins, went to the police in 2008 to make a complaint against Watkins. She reported him to the police for having suspicious material of children on his laptop. However, the police took no further action. Despite Joanne's pleas, her pleas were ignored. More complaints by Joanne and multiple other people were filed against Watkins. However, no further action was taken against Watkins. Joanne even warned the police about a certain little girl whose mother was in a relationship with Watkins and they were both abusing her. The father of the child even contacted social services, however nothing was done to protect this child. Meanwhile, Ian was touring with his band, and whilst touring with his band, the band members had some concerns about Ian himself. His drug addiction was getting worse, and according to the other members, they held an intervention for him. He went to rehab and got better, however, he then relapsed on drugs. The band members feared that Ian would end up dead. The band members, who are all fathers and lived in the United States, rarely saw Ian and professed their innocence, claiming that they did not know what Ian was up to at that time. And I do believe their side of the story. Had they known about what Ian was doing, they would have been charged as accessories. During their tours, Ian stayed in different hotels and even rode in different cars. He had a separate dressing room for himself away from the other band members, and tensions were getting high of his drug addiction. On one occasion, Ian got into an altercation with another band member, Stuart. To sum it up, things were getting really bad. However, things would get worse for Watkins when on the 19th of December 2012, Watkins was arrested and charged with attempting to rape a 1-year-old baby girl and an 11-month-old baby boy. He was also charged for possession and distribution of indecent images and videos of children and extreme animal pornography. 2 other females known as B and P were also arrested for their involvement. They are the mothers of the 2 children who were abused by Watkins and themselves. Initially, Watkins would deny the accusations, saying they were false. However, on the 26th of November 2013, Watkins pleaded guilty to rape and sexual assault of a child under 13. He also pleaded guilty to 3 counts of sexual assault involving children, 6 counts of taking, making, or possessing indecent images of children, and 1 count of possessing an extreme pornographic image involving a sex act on an animal. The court papers are available on the internet for you to read. I personally am not going to read the full thing because it is truly disturbing. It goes into full detail about what Watkins did to those innocent children, and he truly shows no remorse for what he's done. And the mothers too, I think they are the most disgusting human beings on this planet. They do not deserve to be called mothers whatsoever. The thing is, what upsets me the most is that they chose an abuser, a paedophile over their own children that they were supposed to protect. They were supposed to protect their children from men like him, individuals like him. He's a monster. And what do? They betray their own children just to have this thing's attention. Like, I don't get it. It's just disgusting and ridiculous. This could have been prevented if the police did their job. Like I said before, Joanne Majelix, a former partner of Ian, she went to the police multiple times and she gave them loads of evidence that Watkins was abusing children. They shrugged it off. They said, no, there's no evidence. However, there was concrete evidence and she did give it to them. It was only when they raided his house for drugs, they found the evidence, and then they arrested him. But Joanne was also arrested for possession of indecent images a couple of years later. However, she was cleared given her circumstances. Watkins was sentenced to 35 years in prison. B was sentenced to 14 years in prison, and P was sentenced to 17 years. The mothers will be able to serve half their sentence and then go home, which I think is not. No, I don't agree with that. They should be in prison for more than that. As for Ian, he will be in jail for a long time, and I hope he never ever comes out because he is a danger to women, children, and infants. The actions that the 3 individuals committed are so fucked up. It literally made me sick reading the full court report of what happened to those innocent babies. Just days after, the rest of the band members put out a statement confirming that the Lost Prophets will no longer continue making music. However, in 2014, the rest of the band members then formed another band called No Devotion with an American vocalist, Jeff Rickley. They released their first album, Permanence, in 2015 and recently released their second album, No Oblivion, in 2022. I have had a listen of No Oblivion and I think it's a great album, and I think if you are watching this now, you should definitely have a listen of that. It's a really nice album. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed watching this documentary. I will put out another video soon. Give me a thumbs up and please subscribe. Thank you.